Hi guys, I literally just recorded this video at home and it was perfect, and then the audio came out all jarbled and everything, so I'm having to do it again. So I thought I'd come outside and sit somewhere nice and try again. I'm kind of annoyed because I was really happy with the first video, and then I listened to it and it was just like literally it sounded like that. There was nothing I could do. Anyway, yeah, so I'm on like day 10 or 11 of a semen retention streak now. And I thought I've wanted to do a video about it for a while, but I thought I'd wait until I'm like on a streak, you know, and talk about it. And it's something me and my girlfriend kind of do like together once in a while. We've only done it a few times, and I mean, for her it's not semen retention. For me it's semen retention. For her it's whatever it is for a woman. But basically, yeah, we once in a while decide to do this. It's kind of something that it depends what you've got going on in your life at the time, I think, and it's sort of very context dependent, like whether or not it's good, whether or not the effects are good. But there's a lot of people who dismiss this as having no effect or being nonsense or being yeah, like a completely pointless thing to do. That comes up a lot in reference to both NoFap and semen retention. NoFap being the more well-known of the two. Obviously NoFap is more centered around just not masturbating, not looking at porn. Semen retention is more specifically actually, you know, retaining your semen, not coming under any circumstances for extended periods of time. And yeah, a lot of people will sort of write one or the other off and say like it's just a cult, it does nothing, it's stupid, it's nonsense. I understand from one point of view that there are people who, in my opinion, like kind of take it too far. I think for a lot of those people it's better than the alternative. It's better than like porn addiction. And a lot of people, for example, with NoFap are coming at it from a perspective of or a background of like quite severe porn addiction. And I think, yeah, like to me, going like hundreds of days without coming and it becoming like a kind of obsession doesn't seem ideal. But at the same time, like severe porn addiction is so debilitating and unhealthy that, yeah, I don't really, I think it's very often for those people the lesser of two evils. And a lot of what they say about the benefits of it is true. So, you know, I think people are too quick to judge, and I think people are kind of extreme on both sides. But yeah, I mean, the people who say it does nothing or it's pointless are, in my opinion, most of the time people who haven't tried it. It's a bit like with psychedelics. Like a lot of people say there's no spiritual component or there's nothing magical or strange going on, it's just your brain doing a bunch of weird shit. And there are people who've done psychedelics, many people who've done psychedelics who believe that as well, and I completely respect that opinion. But there are a lot of people out there who've never had these experiences who are telling you about the subjective nature of them, and that's ridiculous. Obviously it's like someone who's never been to a certain place telling you what it's like to be there or what the place is like. It doesn't make any sense. So yeah, there's a lot of people who've never tried semen retention. In fact, I'm willing to bet most people who say it doesn't do anything have never tried it, because whether you think it's good or bad, it does something. Like it might, you might not like the effect of it, but to say it does nothing is insane, because it absolutely, certainly in my experience, does something. Obviously everyone's physiology is different, but it's hard to imagine really how such a fundamental biological thing would do nothing, you know, would have no effect. Or, you know, cessation of a process that your body goes through constantly and you suddenly stop. It's sort of like saying fasting doesn't do anything. Like if you suddenly stop eating, nothing happens. Obviously lots of things happen in your body in response to that. So yeah, for me it's largely positive, but as I say, it kind of depends on the context. So if you are like depressed or you have very low energy, or of course if you're like addicted to porn or other, you know, sort of inappropriate or excessive sort of sexual behaviors, then yeah, I would say it's an absolute no-brainer. If you've never tried it before, if you're a man, if you're like depressed and tired, then yeah, definitely I would 100% recommend at least trying it. Obviously, like with anything, proceed with caution, see how you get on. In other situations, I mean, I've found, for example, like certain types of stress, I think it helps with certain types of stress, and I think in certain ways it can give you more confidence and make you feel more capable of dealing with certain things. But I would say in terms of your sort of baseline level of like calm and relaxation, for me, I don't know if it's beneficial in that regard, and I think sometimes it doesn't help. So we've done it, I think, me and my girlfriend, because it's, you know, obviously you and you're in a relationship, it's kind of a thing you do as a couple. We've done it, I think, like maybe 4 or 5 times, and we've had to be a bit selective about when we choose to do it. Because if we've just been very bored, very depressed, very tired, not really, you know, feeling like we have that much kind of vigor and enthusiasm for life, then it again, like, it seems like kind of a no-brainer, and that would seem like a good time to do it. But if we're stressed, or we've been fighting a lot, or we're kind of on edge, or there's some sort of stressful situation going on, then generally we would just think, no, this is not the right time to do it. It won't make that situation easier necessarily, and it might make it worse. And so, yeah, I think it's something that you have to kind of, I think you have to understand how it affects you and decide based upon that, you know, whether or not it's the right thing for you in that moment. This current streak that we're on, it's not been one of my favorites personally, because basically I've had a kind of like weird stressful situation going on. I've had this like dispute with these mechanics, and it's kind of like spilled over into real life, and it's just become a really weird, awkward, over the top situation. And, you know, in general, like, conflict doesn't feel great, particularly afterwards. You know, sometimes when you're in the moment and you're engaged in conflicts with people, it can be quite cathartic and you feel more like fired up. But for me, at least, it's quite common that afterwards it feels bad. It's kind of anxiety inducing. You don't feel great about it. And yeah, I would say, I don't know what I would be like normally, but I would say in the wake of this sort of ongoing conflict, in the wake of this, not ongoing, but in the wake of this conflict that's now, you know, hopefully over, I felt quite uneasy. I've found it hard to stop thinking about it. I felt like a couple of times I've been thinking about it at night when I've been trying to go to sleep, and it's been bothering me, making me angry or stressed out. And it's been a bit hard to let it go. And I do struggle with that generally. So it definitely, that could definitely be what's going on. But I have noticed in general, yeah, during streaks, like, I'm a bit more inclined to, it feels like my resting heart rate is kind of higher. And from one point of view, that can be a good thing. Like, the energy boost is insane. Like, it really is. It can't be overstated, for me at least anyway. Like, the difference in energy is crazy. The reason we actually found out about it originally, or what got us into it, I don't remember exactly. I had done it before myself and sort of experimented with it in various ways, but I think what got us into it as a couple was our dog had this bad injury, like, I don't know, like a year and a half ago, and she was crippled and paralyzed basically, and so we had to keep like turning her over in the night because she couldn't get up and turn herself over. And so one of us would have to sleep on the floor next to her bed, and, you know, we were sort of doing it in shifts and waking up every couple of hours, and every time we heard a noise we'd wake up. So we were barely sleeping for weeks, and obviously during this time we just weren't thinking about having sex. And I realised, I don't know, about like 10 days into this, I was like, I'm not tired at all. I feel like I've been sleeping. Or at least it's not so much I feel like I've been sleeping, I'm not feeling the negative effects of a lack of sleep. And I was going to work, like, sometimes without caffeine. I was just thinking, I don't really need caffeine. And I don't drink a lot of caffeine anyway. I just drink, like, green tea. But normally if I don't have it, I feel a difference. You know, I'm kind of used to it. And I was just sort of feeling like, no, I don't really need to. I'll just have some water in the morning. Don't really need anything. I feel fine. And I was kind of shocked at how normal I felt. Like, how well rested and as I say, it's not the same as a normal feeling of being well rested. It's different, because when you're sleeping well, it's often because you need to, because you're tired. You need that recovery and that rest. So you wake up and you feel, yeah, I've slept well. I'm still kind of tired. I don't feel bad, but I feel kind of tired. But during semen retention, for me, it's like I just kind of feel I don't need that much sleep, and it's a different feeling. It's hard to describe. You feel kind of different physically. So yeah, it's been from that point of view, it's been really useful at times, and that was like eye-opening for me, and it's the main thing that stands out to me as really noticeable and beneficial. It's obviously there's a lot of benefits in terms of learning to kind of control yourself, or learning to not focus so much on sex, and learning to not kind of care so much, and to be so kind of sexually driven. When I tried it in the past, I tried it back when I was much younger, when I was like a teenager. I tried it when NoFap was a thing, and I hadn't heard of semen retention per se at that time. I just heard of it as NoFap, which is, again, they're slightly different things with a lot of overlap. And I tried it, but I had the wrong attitude, basically. I would just like I would keep thinking about things that made me horny, and I was just sitting there like with a boner, just like getting really angry, and I thought like, I can't, okay, fine, I won't look at porn or wank, but then I need to like, go on a dating app or whatever and meet some girl, and like I need to have sex, I need to do something. So I would just sort of sit there like suffering, and just like sort of white knuckling it, and it was really ridiculous, because that's obviously not the correct way to do it. You should the whole point is to kind of direct your energy elsewhere and channel that energy and use it for other things, not just sit there being angry that you can't come, and yeah, it just drove me insane when I tried it back then, and I was like, fuck this, I'm not doing it, it's ridiculous. I also, later in life, when me and my girlfriend broke up for a year or so, I started only coming once a week. Because, not only coming once a week, I would come lots of times in one day, but only on one day a week. I started coming only one day a week. Every Wednesday. I called it Wank Wednesdays, which is embarrassing. But anyway, every Wednesday, I would wait until Wednesdays. I wouldn't come all week. I'd wait until Wednesdays, and then I would just like come loads of times. And I wasn't looking at porn then. I would just like look at like YouTube videos and stuff. I would come like loads of times on that day. Yeah, that's again not really the correct way to do it. I was doing it then partially because I was looking for all these like natural ways to increase my testosterone and improve my gains and get bigger and stronger and everything, because I was going through a sort of insecure post-breakup period, and I was just going a bit mad, and I just really wanted to like get stronger and be like productive and work out and all of this shit. And I think it worked to some degree. I felt more energized. I was training like mad at that time. Like I kind of miss that sort of ferocious energy I had when I was training. Like do everything to failure, do negative reps, just go crazy, like every single set to failure. Yeah, there is one study I think that shows that like peak serum testosterone levels. I think it's a Chinese study. It's not a well-studied thing. But that they reach like 150% of baseline after 5 days, I think, of not coming. So that was why I would reset every 7 days. And yeah, I don't know. That isn't something, again, I'm like specifically recommending. I would say like what we've been trying recently, which is longer kind of runs of doing it, like. Really, to be honest, the most we've done is like 2 weeks, and I know that for a lot of people that's very short, and a lot of people say the benefits don't even really begin by then. For me, the benefits really start at around day 10. I mean, I would say before then I definitely have a lot more energy. It's more a case of for the first few days it's more a case of being less tired rather than more energetic, because I've found like if I'm coming a lot, like I sleep for much longer and I feel much more tired in the morning, particularly the day after. Like I don't understand how there's any debate, in football it's often a thing like, should footballers have sex the day before a match, whatever. If I was an athlete, and I was really serious about it, I don't know, I feel like I would be kind of doing semen retention all the time, like during the season, because I'm for me at least, if I had to, God forbid, I had to play a Premier League match. Well, I would like it, kind of. Well, no, I wouldn't like it because I'd be terrible and it would be like a sort of I'd be humiliated on a global scale. So yeah, I might like to be a Premier League footballer, but I guess not at my current level of ability. But if I was, and I had to play a match the next day, I feel like I would be like, my performance might drop from like a 10 to like a 7. Like I really feel it would make that much of a difference. I can't imagine how like sort of how much of an effect that would have on your performance. But for me, yeah, it would be crazy. So yeah, I find like that tiredness just goes away, obviously, like even after 2 days, to be honest, which isn't semen retention, that's just going 2 days without coming. Like I wake up more easily, I feel less tired. Then yeah, for 5 or 6 days it can be a bit uncomfortable and you feel maybe a bit more irritable, a bit. Sometimes I feel these kind of strange emotional fluctuations, I think because your body just gets used to certain things being done a certain way, and I feel kind of like, yeah, maybe oddly emotional or something. Maybe more prone to being irritable, a bit more anxious, or just kind of like slightly just elevated heart rate. But then, yeah, you just start to feel very like focused and tuned in and clear-headed and energetic. You should have seen the first video I did on this. It was so good. I'm so annoyed it got deleted, honestly. I was like really, really pissed off afterwards because it was one of my favourite Big Dome videos ever. I think it was like probably in the top sort of 5 I've ever done in terms of just like, I felt so sharp. I felt I expressed everything so perfectly, so quick, so efficient. I was really pleased with it. And I did in the video attribute that to being, sort of 10 days or whatever into a streak, because I feel very good when I'm on it. Now I'm kind of like second guessing everything I'm saying, and I'm thinking about the other video, and I'm sort of having to accept this one as like a consolation prize, and it's kind of bothering me, and it's in my head, and I'm slow, and I feel just a bit more tired now because I've had to come out here and find a location. I'm a bit bothered by the whole thing. But in general, yeah, like I'm so much sharper and more fluent when I'm doing it, and I don't really need caffeine as much. I had, for example, during this situation I was talking about, this weird sort of dispute with these mechanics and stuff, I had to go in the other day, I think it was maybe yesterday or the day before, and I went in to see them, and there's like 4 or 5 of them there, and it's a second language, my second language. It's just, cars are not even my second language. They're like my 200th language. I know nothing about them. It's for many reasons a situation where the odds were kind of stacked against me, and I feel, for want of a better way to phrase it, I kind of won the argument, and I felt completely confident and clear, and like I was able to kind of communicate what I wanted to say and not be swayed by the situation. I felt quite sort of strong in how I was able to deal with it, and it is, it's quite a difficult thing, to be fair. Like I'm generally okay with stuff like that, but to be in your second language to deal with things like that, it's quite awkward. And yeah, it went relatively well, I would say. And I think with stuff like that, it helps a lot. Yeah, you feel, as I said, more confident, but just maybe not more relaxed. That's the one kind of thing that I think is lacking from it. I think if you have that elsewhere in your life, if you have ways of accessing that feeling of calm and relaxation, and you're generally a very calm person, then for me, I can't really see any downsides to semen retention. I think it's just like amazing. But the problem is, for me, whilst I see all these benefits of it, probably the main thing I'm looking to control in my life at the moment is kind of stress, anxiety, anger, trying to be more calm at a base level and to kind of relax more, to be more capable of just sitting down on the sofa, watching something, playing a game for an hour at night and not thinking and being chilled out and feeling calm and at peace. That's probably the thing I'm kind of prioritizing in terms of my mental state. And so that's why this isn't something I do that often, because it's, in that regard, I wouldn't say it's really like, aiding me particularly. So yeah, there's that aspect of it. There are a lot of people who, as I said, go really far the other way. I mean, if you look on the forums and stuff, there's people who are talking about, I'm on day 467 or whatever. And again, I mean, it's their body, it's their life, it's their choice. I don't have any, dog in this fight. That's not something I would personally ever try. It's not something I believe is healthy physically. It's not something I really believe is necessary for many, if any, people. I'm sure there are some crazy benefits you get from that, but I don't think those outweigh, for me, the potential health consequences. I'm fairly sure that's quite bad for your prostate to keep doing that for that long. And again, I mean, this is a fairly fundamental aspect of male biology that, it's a very objective thing for men. This is why, I think it can be similar for women. Like, there's similar benefits, particularly nowadays when so many people are addicted to porn and stuff. There can be similar benefits for women to doing abstinence, semen retention, absolutely, and maybe in some ways better. But there's a very, very fundamental kind of objective, like explicit thing, like in terms of men coming. Like, it's not vague. It's not something that kind of comes and goes and happens, and it's like you've come. That's it. Like, it's very direct, and the same with all male sexual function. Like, it's extremely direct and to the point and sort of literal, and there's so many sort of hormonal aspects of it, so many ways in which it ties in with your hormones and your mood and everything else. That it has a huge effect on you, obviously. So there are, in my opinion, very objective kind of things that take place when you do this. I mean, as I said, there are people who say it does nothing, or who write it off, who haven't tried it. I find that very odd. I think it's kind of associated with, it's one of those things, how like kind of everything now is politicized and things are kind of weirdly like right and left wing, and like I feel this is kind of associated with conspiracy theories and like the alt-right, and it's somehow oddly pigeonholed as this thing, or because it doesn't have medical science behind it, or because it's not recommended by doctors, or because it's a male thing, it's done primarily by men. It's just pigeonholed weirdly as somehow this is like toxic, or this is right. It's very sad that, because as I say, a lot of people doing this are trying to overcome like porn addiction, or just trying to be better people as well, like trying to have more control over where they direct their energy. And it's very odd, that it's pigeonholed. I was banned from a football subreddit because I didn't mention it on the subreddit. I had some sort of argument with someone on this football subreddit. I didn't do anything wrong, didn't break the rules, and the admin of this subreddit went on my profile and saw I'd posted something on a semen retention subreddit, and he went, ha, you're a fucking loser, I'm banning you anyway for mentioning that fucking whatever shit, that ridiculous shit or whatever, semen retention, that's so fucking weird or whatever, you're a freak. And I was like, what an odd thing to care about, what an odd thing to have an opinion on. What a strange to sort of care about whether or not another man is coming. Like, it's like, it feels a bit like being in denial about your own weakness or your own addiction or your own lack of self-control. And I've never understood that. It's a thing that receives, like, there's a lot of hostility towards it online. I know, again, like, some of the sort of nofap community and stuff, they don't really help that with their maybe over-the-top proclamations about the benefits. But imagine you, for example, you want to get fit, you want to start going to the gym. You can go to people who are like roided up to the gills, taking like insulin injections and like estrogen blockers and doing all this crazy shit, and are like enormous and look kind of like ridiculous, and look at them as an example, or talk to them or ask them for advice. Or there's just a whole world of people who just, go to the gym and lift weights and keep fit and do it normally, and they want to be healthy and strong, but they're just normal people. And, obviously, generally, those are the kind of people you engage with, but that's easier because it's more of a socially acceptable, normal thing. It's not really normal to, like, go up to a man at work and be like, hey, when was the last time you came? Like, you can't really do that. It's not a casual thing to talk about, semen retention, even though it should be, really, it's fine. But there is still a whole world of people out there who do these things who are just normal, and it's just a normal thing that's, you know, very useful to try, has lots of potential benefits. And so, yeah, I think it's good to engage with that side of it and not be turned off by the extremes on either end of the spectrum, really. The people who are like, no, porn and coming is good for you, just it's normal, just keep, you know, being dependent on you know, whatever. Yeah, I think, as I said, I think unless you have a real specific reason not to, I think like all men should just try this at some point, like, or at least I don't think all men should try. I would, if you're considering it, I would recommend, like, yeah, just try it, to know how you react to it. And I don't think trying it once is necessarily enough to know. I would just recommend giving it a go, maybe a couple of times, see how you react to it. Bear in mind, different people reach different stages at different times. Like, for some people, the benefits take a while to start. And once you know how you react to it, you'll kind of know whether or not it's appropriate at any given time, you know, during any particular period in your life. Because as I said, we kind of, we've only really done it a few times, but there's been numerous times we've kind of decided now's not really the right time to do this. It's kind of like, you know, we've been going through a stressful period, or we've been arguing, or whatever it is, and we think, no, now wouldn't be a good time. Or a couple of times we've ended it early because like something's happened, or we've just been a bit like worked up and whatever else. So we've decided it wouldn't be the right time to do it. But you can only really know that once you kind of know yourself. And I think, yeah, it's a useful thing to try to know, like, how do I react to this? How does my body react to it? And what are the downsides? What are the benefits? And therefore, you might have some sort of event coming up, and you might think, yeah, it's probably good if I, like, maybe preserve my energy and don't come for a couple of weeks. I've got some sports thing I'm doing, or whatever it is, or I'm really bogged down with work at the moment, so maybe I should like take a break, you know, for a couple of weeks and not come or whatever. Yeah, I mean, I guess if you're in a relationship, it's kind of a thing you necessarily sort of have to do together. Perhaps for some people that's like a kind of awkward thing to propose or suggest. I don't think it needs to be. I think it's something you can just be like sort of logical and normal and explain in a way that's, you know, like respectful. I don't think it has to be an awkward or weird thing, but I guess, yeah, for some people it might be. Yeah, there are certain things, you know, sometimes it's, now that I kind of know a bit better like how my body reacts at different stages, it's something I have to contemplate, like during certain situations. Like when I was doing my driving exam, I'd often think, what's the optimal stage to be at? Like I wouldn't really take the risk for a driving exam of going fully into a streak, because I don't know, it's just a bit, you're going into slightly uncharted territory, you know. At the same time, I would generally aim for, like, usually then I would try and think like, yeah, probably 2 days is about optimal, because I'm not risking having gone so long that I'm like anxious and my heart rate's going to be really elevated and I'm going to be like nervous during the exam, but I'm not going to be exhausted or whatever. I'm going to be, you know, sort of normal. So yeah, it's good. I think it's a good way to get to know yourself in that regard, and to know and understand that this is, like, as a man, a very integral part of your biology. I think they're about to do weed killing around here. I don't really want to be here when they start. Oh no, he's just stopping for a piss. Okay. It's a very integral part of your biology, and it's yeah, so it's something that it's good to know, you know, it's good to understand it. I think same with fasting, you know, it's like if you haven't tried it, of course it's good to know how do you react to that. And both things I think are normal. Like, it's biologically, we surely have evolved, like hunter-gatherer type people and prehistoric people, like, to, you know, there's not always the opportunity to have sex, and there's not always the opportunity to eat. You don't always have food. So those things are quite normal. They're just a normal part of our biology, I think. They're not supposed to be things that are done, you know, all of these things now for us are done like clockwork. They're part of our work routines, our daily routines. You eat breakfast, lunch, dinner. They're all at set times. Most people, I think, are a bit similar to that with coming, really. Like, you kind of like, whether it's sex or looking at porn or whatever, there's kind of like a routine to it. and a kind of a consistency of frequency, which is perhaps like a bit silly in a way, you know. So yeah, I would recommend it. I feel I got all the information out in this video that I did in the other one. It just didn't have the same sort of je ne sais quoi to it, which is kind of annoying, but it's stupid. It doesn't really matter, you know, in the grand scheme of things. But yeah, it drives me mad when that happens. When I lose stuff, it's happened quite a few times. I've lost like a creative project or something, and it's always really... So I thought this would be a good chance to force myself to sort of practice this skill of redoing you know, refilming the video or whatever, and doing what I lost. And yeah, I feel again, probably being 10 days or whatever into this streak has probably helped me in that regard. It's probably given me a slight bit of extra energy. It's hard to get over the disappointment of that and to sort of get it out of your head, because normally when I do these videos, I normally wait and then I'll be just doing something and maybe I've got some free time, and then a feeling kind of pops up and I think, oh, maybe I'll do that video. And if that feels good, that idea, I think, cool, I'm ready to go. And I kind of know, like, I'm ready to film that video. And there's varying degrees of it. Sometimes I feel, yeah, I could do that one, and I do it, and it's a so-so video. And then there are other times when I feel, yeah, I'm definitely ready right now. You just know, kind of, you know. And this is one of those times I was like, yeah, great, this is going to be good. And as soon as I started filming it, I was like, cool, perfect, I'm in the zone. And for me, yeah, those are always the videos that come out the best. It's not about the way it looks, the scenery, or the specific things that I say. I found this with a lot of mediums of art and stuff, like, you know, when you're trying to record a song, for example, you think, I want it to sound like this, I want this pitch or tone, I want this to be this way. But in reality, really, like, the energy is the most important thing, and it feeling real and authentic and being in the moment. And you can't really replicate that. You can't fake it or recreate it. Yeah, and that was what I felt when I did that video. I felt, oh yeah, perfect, got that one in the bag. I was really happy with it. And yeah, so it always feels bad, you know. I always think, oh damn it, because if you do scripted videos and you plan them, it doesn't really matter. You just redo it, you know, in accordance with the script. But when they're not, it's difficult. So yeah, I got all the information across in this video, and yeah, that's, you know, that's the gist. It's not the most important or personal or, you know, significant thing ever anyway, the topic. So it doesn't really matter, and I'm glad that I redid it. And I'm sort of just I think, well, to have a video that I think is okay and does the job is better than having none. So yeah, good. Alright guys, well, thanks for watching. As I said, yeah, I would definitely recommend giving this a try. If you're even remotely curious about it, or you think it might be beneficial for you, I think you definitely should. Don't be swayed by anyone that says that there's no, you know, like, the benefits aren't proven. Like, you don't need a scientific study to tell you to do something. You don't need a doctor to tell you not to come. And in fact, he probably shouldn't really. Like, I don't think it's really his, you know, dominion. So yeah, just like, it's a thing you can very easily find out for yourself. And don't take my word for it either. Just, you know, if you're curious about it, just find out for yourself. Yeah, I think it's definitely hugely beneficial for women as well. There's women on the subreddits and stuff. I don't really go on the subreddits anymore. There's a lot of like memes and, as I said, like quite extreme stuff, and it's a bit dogmatic. And for me, I'm not really, I don't know. Yeah, I don't really buy into that side of it. I don't think there's anything wrong with coming. Like, I don't think it's bad. You know, I think for me, I would generally go through periods of, I barely ever do semen retention, to be honest. But yeah, I'm either doing it or I'm very much doing the opposite. Do you know what I mean? Like, because I try to maintain my sort of virility. Like, I don't really want to like lose the habit of coming. It's like, you know, it's a good thing to sort of have that, you know, to have sort of virility and whatever. I don't really want to condition myself to not do so or whatever. And I don't think it's bad to have like an active sex life or anything like that. So I do think it's bad to sit around looking at porn all day. Obviously, that's a different story. But yeah, there are a lot of people on there who take it to an extreme, and they're dogmatic and they're sort of judgmental of others who aren't doing semen retention. I think that's a bit silly. But anyway, on those forums and stuff, there are some women on there. I think that's really cool, and I think it would be. I think it's a shame for it to be a thing that women would be excluded from. Obviously, the literal name of it is semen retention. Women don't produce semen, but it's the same fucking thing, isn't it? It's not the same thing. It's very much not the same thing. But you know what I mean. That it doesn't matter what the name really says. Yeah, I think it's great. Like I think women get a lot of benefits out of it, and as well, particularly as I said these days when everyone's so like fucking hypersexual. Because of all the content that's everywhere, so that's good. And I can only really in this video primarily speak about it from a male perspective, so that's why I'm doing so. But I think this can be a really beneficial thing for people of either gender. And also, yeah, the other thing I forgot to mention actually, yeah, so when we do it, me and my girlfriend, one thing we do find is we kind of generally when we do it, we don't really feel quite as like close sometimes. Like we feel it does create a kind of odd distance between us as a couple, which is sometimes not very nice. And often when we kind of finish a streak, we feel like oh yeah, we kind of feel a bit sort of warmer towards each other now and a bit closer, and we're getting on a bit better. And that part is kind of weird, and it's another aspect of it I don't particularly like. And I'm sure that's not always the case, and there's ways of mitigating it or whatever, and it's not the same for everyone. But I do think that's a kind of fundamental hormonal thing. Sex produces like bonding chemicals and stuff, and that's just normal. And I think a lot of people make the mistake of thinking like, oh, you come, it produces some endorphins, that's it. Like, there's so much more going on behind the scenes, which is one of the reasons porn is so damaging, is like, you produce bonding chemicals and stuff like that. So you're looking at an image on a screen, and your body's trying to have this chemical reaction to a thing that's not real. It's like, it's weird. It's like when there's like an animal that has a teddy bear and they think it's their baby or something. It's like, it's not meant to be happening. Is like a misfiring chemical response there, and if you do that repeatedly for decades, you can create some really, really severe problems. And yeah, like sex and coming and everything, it's a lot more than just like a thing that happens and you feel good. Like there's way more going on behind the scenes. So I think, yeah, that's where some of this comes from, where sometimes we're a bit like, sort of feel a bit like frosty with each other when we're doing it. But there's some Scottish people there. I did not expect that. A couple cycling past later, a lovely Scottish accent. Weird. I don't know if you could pick that up on here, if you guys can hear it. I haven't heard a Scottish accent in real life in so long. That's bizarre. Yeah. So yeah, there's that aspect of it, which is kind of annoying. But yeah, I don't know. And I don't remember if I mentioned this in the first video or the this one or both. But yeah, after a streak ends, I'm always like, man, I'm so fucking tired. Like, I just feel incredibly tired afterwards. And I don't know if it's just a relative thing. I've forgot how tired I normally am, or if I just get particularly tired. But yeah, I'm always like, damn, I need like more caffeine, and it's harder to do things, and I feel less energetic. So yeah, there's definitely that. And the energy you get from it. Sorry, I know I said I was going to wrap this video up. I think I'm sort of like insecurely adding more and more to the video, because I'm still really disappointed that the other one got deleted. And I'm trying to like make this better by just extending it forever. But the other thing, the thing about the energy boost you get from it is, it's, for me at least, it's not always productive. Like if I drink caffeine, that's a pretty productive form of energy that generally almost always translates to productivity. But with this, it can be more, sometimes it's like a kind of buzz, and it doesn't necessarily translate always to getting things done, but it depends what I'm doing. If I have to do some exercise or go for a walk or something, then definitely I'm fine, like any time of day during a streak. I mean, most of the time anyway, I'm all right with that. But yeah, like really, I feel like energetic. Like now it's like 2, I haven't eaten, I'm a bit knackered from redoing this video and coming out here, but I could just go for a run really. I might actually go for a run after this. I could go for a run really easily, and I feel physically very up to the task, up to anything. Yeah. So, cool. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. I'll wrap it up here. And, yeah, take care. Hope you're all well. Yeah, I remembered one other thing that I forgot to mention in that take. Or maybe I did mention it, I'm not going to go back and check. But basically, if you if you're going to try this, like, the most important thing I think is don't like think about stuff that makes you horny. Don't engage with it. Obviously don't look at it. Don't like teeter on the edge at all. If you're going to do that, like for me, I would say it's just don't bother. Like, don't bother doing it at all, because that is when it becomes like really uncomfortable and unpleasant, for me at least. If I sort of think, oh, I can kind of like engage some sexual thoughts or whatever, or I can sort of, you know, think about things a bit, I can allow myself to get a bit horny, I then find after that I become like very irritable, frustrated, restless. It's kind of like hard to sleep and everything. So I would say, yeah, whenever that happens, or you start thinking like that, just go, no, don't think about it. Direct your energy elsewhere, and think of it in the same way, you know, like when you get sober, I always think about the benefits of being sober, rather than like thinking about what you miss from drugs, or trying to even like replicate that experience in some other way. Just appreciate the benefits of sobriety. And it's the same thing with this, like absorb the benefits of it. Don't try it. Don't live with one foot in the door and, you know, one foot there and one foot in the other door, or whatever the appropriate expression is. Just direct that energy elsewhere. Don't think about that stuff. Try not to really engage with anything sexual at all in your mind or elsewhere. I think that's an essential component of it, because otherwise you're kind of doing the worst of both. You know, you're not really doing it, and you're kind of losing a lot of the benefits, and also increasing a lot of the downsides. So yeah, all right guys, that's all. Bye.